Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about Batman vs. Hulk. And this was a tabletop role-playing game that I played with Norman and Reggie. Norman played Batman, and Reggie played Hulk. We used two different tabletop role-playing game systems. For the DC side, we used the DC Adventures, which is the tabletop role-playing game put out by Green Ronin, and it uses the Mutants and Masterminds rule set. And then we also used the Marvel Adventure game, and that uses the Saga system, which is a card-based system. So today what we're going to be talking about, I was collecting my thoughts on this battle, and I'm actually going to need to break this into two videos. So today we're going to talk about essentially where Hulk ends up encountering the Teen Titans. All right, so let's start. I just want to give you an idea of the events that happened within, or actually recount the events that happened within the game as we played it. Okay, so Mr. Freeze is preparing for a new job, and he is in, for a heist essentially, and he's in Gotham City, and he's near Amusement Mile, and he's working by himself. And suddenly a portal opens. Now, Mr. Freeze is not aware of where that portal is connecting between and through. But Mr. Freeze is a complete baller villain, and he just leaps through the portal, right? Now, unbeknownst to him, that portal connects between Earth Prime, the primary DC Comics world, and Earth 616, the primary Marvel Comics world, okay? So Mr. Freeze is now on the other side of the portal, and he is specifically, and so essentially he realizes this world has completely different villains and completely different heroes, right? And he begins to go around the world and research it, right? And he also is looking for superheroes and supervillains that he knows, and he finds, that he is really in a completely different universe, right? So as he does his research, he comes across Bruce Banner, the Incredible Hulk, okay? Now, we know Bruce Banner is the Incredible Hulk, but when Mr. Freeze comes across Bruce Banner in his research, all he knows is that Bruce Banner is an amazingly talented scientist, okay? Mr. Freeze is like, bet, this guy is gonna deliver a cure for my wife. So he goes, he gets Bruce Banner, then he kidnaps Bruce Banner and takes Bruce Banner back through another portal from Earth 616 back to Earth Prime into Gotham City, okay? So at that point, what happens then is he takes Banner to the Cathedral, the main cathedral in Cathedral Square in Old Gotham City, and he imprisons him right there in the cathedral. Now, the cathedral has been shut down for about 2 years, and the reason why is attendance at the cathedral had been going down in Gotham for a long time. It's incredibly expensive. It's actually incredibly expensive real estate, and they couldn't, afford to continue to own that space. But then when they went to try to sell it to a commercial venture, there was a lot of debate, and so it got stalled. And so the cathedral has been abandoned for about 2 years, okay? So Mr. Freeze sets up shop there. He builds a prison for, kind of a makeshift prison for Bruce Banner. And he also builds a makeshift science lab, right? And he tells Bruce, "Hey, I will free you the moment you create a cure for my wife." Well, Banner says, "We got to bring your wife to me," and he's like, "That's not possible. I can bring you some of her blood. You're gonna have to do it from the blood." Right? And he says, "I can't do that." And, Mr. Freeze says, "No, I know you can do that. I did all the research. You're incredibly brilliant. Get to work," right? So, Bruce Banner gets to work. Mr. Freeze, he brings in a ton of equipment and pretty much gives Bruce Banner everything he asked for in order to, and he actually completes some jobs, some heists and some jobs to get additional resources to give Bruce Banner everything he needs. Bruce actually falls into the work, and he he just really kind of forgets. He kind of forgets to escape because one, he starts to realize actually. Mr. Freeze explains to him, even if you escape, there's nowhere for you to go. You're in a different universe. And they talk quite a bit about the two different universes, right? So at that point, they talk a lot about the two different universes, okay? And actually, there's a little bit of Stockholm Syndrome going on. And actually, the two of them begin to build somewhat of a friendship. Of course, it's very stilted, but it starts to happen, okay? So at that point, what happens is Bruce delivers the cure. He builds it. He builds the cure, and he hands over 2 vials to Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze puts him back into his prison, and he says, "Hey, thank you very much for this, but I'm going to go cure my wife now, and I am never coming back to this cathedral, and you're going to starve to death." And refuses to free him, right? And the reason why Mr. Freeze does that is, at heart, Mr. Freeze is a villain, right? So Bruce Banner's like, oh no, that's not good, right? So he starts, he's in there and he does everything he can. And so he's imprisoned in this place and, he tries everything he can to free himself. He can't. He starts licking the walls for water, just to get some hydration. Finally, dehydration gets into the point where he just loses his mind and he rages. He goes into his Hulk form because he can't control himself because he just doesn't have any nutrition or any hydration, and he rages into the Hulk, right? Now he just busts right through the cathedral top. Boom, busts out of the cathedral top and starts raging in old Gotham City. Commissioner Gordon brings in 50 police officers. Lickety split, the Hulk reduces that force of 50 Gotham police officers down to 10, right? Well, this is enough of a ruckus where, the superheroes are monitoring. The Teen Titans recognize what's happening, and they immediately deploy to old Gotham City where the Hulk is raging, okay? So the Teen Titans pop in. You have Robin. He's leading the crew. Tim Drake, okay? You have Raven. You have Starfire. You have Kid Flash. You have Blue Beetle. And you have Beast Boy, okay? So they're all on the scene. They begin immediately to fight the Hulk, all right? And they start doing well. Well, the one who aggravates the Hulk the most is Kid Flash. So Kid Flash starts his normal, Kid Flash type, hijinks. Hulk is really angry, grabs him, is able to grab him, and throws him through a building, killing Kid Flash, right? At that point, the Hulk sees what he's done, right? And he kind of just shakes his head, and he runs, right? And he begins running down a particular street. He turns, he starts to run down an alley, and he transforms back into Bruce Banner because he's been traumatized, right? So he turns back into Bruce Banner. He stumbles down the alley, and all the superheroes are searching for him when out of this derelict building comes Dan Cassidy, Blue Devil. Blue Devil had suffered from a mental disorder 3 or 4 years ago, and for 3 or 4 years, Dan Cassidy, Blue Devil, has been living on the streets of Gotham, never transforming into, never taking his superhero form of Blue Devil, and just living amongst Gotham City's homeless. He pulls Bruce Banner into this derelict building and hides him. Robin and Raven and Starfire are unable to find Bruce Banner or Dan Cassidy, which they don't know is involved. And at that point, what happens then is for 1 month, Dan Cassidy helps Bruce Banner to heal up and to understand the world he's in, and finally gets a story. And actually, Bruce Banner spends 1 month among the homeless people of Gotham City. And that is a wrap on the first part of the story of Batman versus Hulk. Next time, the conclusion to Batman versus Hulk.